Hey, my name is Margaret Wong. I'm extremely honored and proud to be able to invite, and he accepted, and he drove all the way up from Akron, Ohio, to Cleveland, Ohio, to our office so we can talk. His name is Mr. Harry, and I'm going to mispronounce
Kamdar.
Kamdar. Yes, he's born in Kenya. His parents are Indian nationals, and I would love to see his story. He's the new CEO of Asian Services, and just amazing because, and I'm so proud, Mr. Matt in our office and I decided to interview him, or he accepted, because Mei Chen and I, the founder of Asian Services, and I, we were young and single and hungry and poor. I still remember May and I running around downtown, helping each other, getting funding, and somehow our path separated. She became not for. She always wants not for profit. I always said, why not for profit? And in those days, I mean, she didn't have money to even hire a lawyer to do that incorporation and stuff. And Mr. Harry just told me they now have more than 100 people working there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at what Dr. Chan and Mr. Harry accomplished. So can you please introduce yourself, about your journey, about what made you decide to accept this position, and now is a very bad time for not-for-profits.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Margaret, so much for welcoming me here. I've heard of you for many years, and it's quite an honor to be here to meet with you today. As I said, my name is Harry Kamdar. I'm of Indian heritage. My father got on a cargo ship from India, from Karachi. Back then it was one country, India, Pakistan, and got on a cargo ship. You're not supposed to get on a cargo ship. And he went to Africa with his father, my grandfather, in search of a better future. And so he started to make a living in Kenya, and then as is the case with our culture, he went back to India for arranged marriage. He met my mother, who also was born in Kenya, and she went to India to look for a husband. So they met each other. And then they came back to Kenya, and that's where I was born. So the first few years of my life we spent in Kenya. My father worked for a safari company there. He used to clean the cars, wash the cars, and menial labor, basically. But he was looking for a better future for us. And so he applied to come to America through the front door. The front door, which means it took us like 6 years of application, going to the American Embassy for interviews and this, that, and the other. And so very fortunate, very blessed to be in the United States, one of the greatest countries in the world, and I don't take the freedom lightly that we have here. And so at a very young age, coming from a very impoverished family, I didn't have basic things. I grew up eating ketchup sandwiches, diluted Coca-Cola, and cardboard pizza, in Columbus, Ohio. And we didn't even know what American football was. When they said football, we were thinking soccer. And it wasn't soccer, it was Buckeye football. And we very quickly learned, and every Saturday it was Buckeye football ritual in the fall. And my mother would buy these tortilla chips for a double coupon that were way past expiration date, put some salsa, and that's how we lived, for a long time. So at that very early age, I learned to develop a passion for not getting into a woe is me mode because I didn't have anything, but what can I do to help somebody else that's even less fortunate than me? And that has been the story of my life, where I have dedicated my life to others who are in far worse shape than I am. And yes, it's nice to have a comfortable living. It's nice to have a nice portfolio in the bank and investment, but it means more to me when I am able to make a difference in the lives of people around me. So I started in youth corrections, juvenile corrections, where I was turning around lives of young people. And these were young African American kids, young white kids, Appalachian kids, hardly any Asian kids, even though I'm Asian. And then I went into public health, where we worked with local health departments, and we had the Ebola crisis, I was a part of that and trying to solve that problem. And I learned to appreciate what it's like with boots on the ground, where the patients are right there in front of you, the citizens are right there. And so for me, it's always been important to be very close to the people that we serve and not be in some ivory tower and never see that. So from public health, I went into oral health where I was an executive director. I did what I had to do over there under Governor DeWine. Very thankful to Governor DeWine for giving me that opportunity. And then this opportunity at Asia came up. And I told my wife, this is going to be up in Akron and Cleveland. She said, well, what does that mean? I said, that means we're going to have to move. She said, I know you, if that's where your heart is, you should do it. So here I am, serving people that really, really need us. And being a son of immigrants, I can really appreciate what people are going through. From all over the world. It's not just from Asian countries. We serve people from the Congo, from the Middle East, from Central America, and even anybody else that walks in through our doors. So when this job came available, I told the search committee that if you select me for this, I'm not going to see this as a job. For me, this is a call to serve, to give back. And so here I am. I'm here in Northeast Ohio. I'm exploring Cleveland and Akron every day. And my family's still down in Columbus area because my son is 16 years old. He is at 11th grade in high school, and he did not want to change high schools. So he will finish high school, go to college, and then my wife will move up here in about 1.5 years, 2 years. So
Awesome.
I'm just so honored to be here in Northeast Ohio. I think the potential for Asia is enormous. This is just scratching the surface. We would like to go into other parts of Ohio and other parts of the country and replicate this model that we have in Cleveland and in Akron. But we have to slow down the train because there are some other, there's been a seismic change in the regulatory landscape and the funding landscape, which is forcing us to make sure that we steady the ship and make sure that we make it through this storm, and adjust to the changing business conditions, and then we will look at the long-term vision, which is to provide more services at our clinics. Right now, we provide primary care. I want to provide dental. I want to provide vision. I want to provide behavioral health. I want to provide a pharmacy. And so for our seniors who don't really believe in well visits, meaning health screenings, I want to introduce something called Health Checkup Day. So they come in, they spend half hour with the physician, half hour with the dentist, half hour with the optometrist, half hour with the psychologist, and then pick up their meds all in one visit because they can't drive themselves, And we want to be able to get into early detection of chronic diseases that are prevalent in the API population, high blood sugar, cholesterol levels and all that. And so a lot of them don't believe in all that, so we're trying to educate them.
That's a problem.
So that's what we're trying to do. We're providing wraparound social services for age spectrum all the way from 5-year-olds all the way to the senior citizens. We provide after-school programming, which is culturally relevant. We're trying to make sure the kids are assimilating into our school system, and at the same time as they are getting into the melting pot and becoming Americanized, that they're not forgetting about their parents, which, then there's a gap. So we try to make sure that that gap is bridged. And then the senior citizens who, instead of just sitting at home and have nothing to do, isolation, because we know isolation leads to depression leads to suicidal ideation, and all those things. And so we bring in senior citizens every day of the week at our senior center. We provide programming, and we feed them culturally relevant food. If it's the Chinese senior, we give them culturally relevant food. If it's the Nepali group, whoever it is, and then we give them programming. And you should see the smiles on the faces of these people. And we are now getting ready to expand. We're now bringing in, we're going to start bringing in seniors from Cleveland into our senior center in Akron. And once that starts going well, we want to open one in Cleveland. And we'll be looking for investors and so on to help us do that.
Sure. Another question. Years and years ago, we used to go back, Bolong's, Li Hua's, all those old restaurants and say, hey, can we have seniors come to get some free meals, and we'll pay maybe $5. and then they'll come, and of course the whole place is messed up and people get mad because nobody's cleaning. So now you actually have a senior center that people can go
That's
to.
correct. That is correct.
Awesome.
Yeah, we would be more than happy to invite you down, Margaret, you and your team, to take a tour and have a meal with us. And look at the smiles on the faces of the seniors. It will make your day.
That's right. Because I still remember years ago, May would call and say, hey, we need some food, we need some free this, free that. And I would say, May already, so look at us. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. How's your funding coming? How much will cut? What's your total? 100 people, what's your total fund? And I notice you keep your people a long time because I don't see too many turnovers in your personnel.
Yeah. It's a great question, Margaret. So our budget is around $7 million right now, annual budget of $7 million.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was $8 million, but because some of the COVID era funding is now going away, ARPA and ARA funding, so that's why, and also we are now bracing for the changes in the eligibility requirements for Medicaid, and so frankly, 50% of our funding comes from the federal government, and 10% comes from the state and local government, and then about 5-10% from foundations, and then the rest is patient service revenue. So we charge on a sliding scale. If you can afford this much, we charge that much. But the federal revenue, we are keeping a close eye on that in terms of what the impact is going to be, and we are expecting. We're projecting a deficit of $700,000 for the current fiscal year we're in, which is fiscal year 2026. We go from July 1 through June 30th. So with that in mind, we have put a hiring freeze in place. We have cut costs with discretionary type costs. And we're also looking at ways of promoting efficiencies in terms of our billings and collections process, getting more efficient, making sure our providers are credentialed by the health plans, and doing a better job of collecting the money and not leaving money on the table. After we've done all that, then we will go talk to our partners in the community to see, how much of an asset do you think we are, Asia is to Northeast Ohio, to Greater Cleveland and Akron, how much of an asset are we? If you think we're an important asset, then we will look for investments for folks to say, whether it's government, local government or foundations locally, and I don't want to throw out any names, but we're in conversation with different people who are very interested in helping out. But I'm saying to everybody, let us first clean up our shop, make sure that we're running a very tight shop, cutting costs where we can, and then we will ask for help. So that's where we're at.
Because if I were you, and I noticed you had some volunteers to do some immigration work.
Yes,
and
yes.
I really think immigration lawyers like us and American immigration lawyers or whatever, we will help because I'm embarrassed. Cases that I couldn't do it, I sometimes refer them to Asia and I say, I know there are good people there because there are cases that they don't need someone like me. They just need someone, I shouldn't say just, but they need someone to help fill out the forms.
Right.
And sometimes I even give them the filing fee check. I should just tell them, if they fill out your forms, just use my check and I'll do it. So if you start, and you're still doing that, right?
Yes, we are.
I've been referring people,
yes.
and if I remember, you even have 1 or 2 lawyers on board and stuff.
Yes, we have about 3 lawyers and 3 clerks.
Good job. So that's one program I think we can help you raise some funds.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
People need that, and also we could do that because ABLE does it. Actually, Governor DeWine is really pushing immigration lawyers like us to help not-for-profits because he really cares about the Haitians somewhere in Springfield or something.
Yes.
Yeah, he cares a lot about them.
Yes.
So we're trying.
Yeah, Governor DeWine's got a big heart, and he's a very kind individual, and I appreciate that. One of the things, Margaret, I wanted to mention that kind of gets lost in the shuffle is that we also serve victims of human trafficking and domestic violence and sexual assaults.
Awesome.
And this is what I call a double and triple whammy. So you got these women, immigrant women, who come from a culture that oppresses their rights, right? Many of them, whether it's Afghan women or Nepali or Chinese. and they're afraid to speak up. They're not allowed to say anything. So they are
They're
so
scared
brave.
because they're
Yes.
afraid of deportation.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
Or getting abused by their husbands. And if any of this, so we bring them in confidentially. We assure them of privacy, and they start a new life, through us. And so that is very gut-wrenching and heartwarming at the same time, because we're able to help people that are in real trouble.
Do you actually file their U visa, or you give them counseling?
We give them counseling, but we also direct them for visas and getting permanent residency.
Good.
And there is definitely a kinder approach from the government when it comes to victims of human trafficking,
Good.
victims of sexual assaults,
Right.
domestic violence. I think I'm glad to say that.
Good.
But having said that, that is a population that is not too many people know about. And so we are part of collaboratives here in Greater Cleveland and also in Akron, where we are working with other partners to mobilize together and through the concept of collective impact,
Right.
where they've got something what we don't have, but we got something else that they want. There's no money that either party has to spend. We just exchange, we barter, and we collaborate. So that's what we're doing right now. And when politicians are busy trying to stop funding agencies, they don't realize the impact it has. So when they freeze the spending, like we've got a government shutdown likely coming up on September 30th, that means it will prevent us from making rent payments for apartments that these women and individuals are in, and they could get evicted. So, how do we do that? That's a real problem. And so I would hope that politicians, regardless of their party affiliation, will be compassionate and kind to women that have taken enough abuse over the years from their husbands or from whomever. My mother was in that kind of a situation, and not nearly as bad, but it was. And so later in life, she took her anger out on my dad and the rest of us, and she was constantly in a depression, didn't have anything to do.
I would love to read your story.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Don't think of a book, but at least one chapter.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. They're both gone. They both passed away, and I was having a conversation with somebody just a week ago, and I said, if my father was still alive, I wonder if he would think about the decision he made to bring us to America. Would he have had second thoughts? Because where we're at in this country is improbable. I would have never imagined that we would be where we're at, where we're judged by the color of our skin. I think we're better than that. This nation is better than that, and I have confidence that we will rise out of this. We just have to take the politics out of it, and some of the misinformation that's out there, we need to put that aside and let kindness and compassion prevail, and then let the immigrants who are known for strong work ethic and very low criminogenic element in the immigrant population, less than the average population, yet they're being treated like criminals. Like the Koreans who were detained in Georgia, at the factory, the auto factory. It's just mind-boggling because they were here to help us, to set up that auto plant, train our people. So unfortunately, that's happened, and we're going to learn from it. But the one thing we cannot do is violence is not the answer, no matter how much we may disagree with everybody. So a mentor of mine taught me a long time ago. He said, you can agree to disagree, but do not be disagreeable. Meaning, let's just be mature, let's be professional, let's be adults, but we don't have to personalize it. And we go our separate ways, and maybe one of us will change our position at some point, or maybe not. So we have lost that, and our founding fathers also preached something along those lines, and we've forgotten about that. So I believe that our nation's GPS is off course, and we need to rediscover the true north. And I think we will just rediscover it. It's just we're going through the yin yang of life, the yin yang of life, and it's just that's the way it is.
Awesome. And earlier you mentioned a figure. Can you repeat it to our listeners? about the shortage you may need, and also how could we do to help instead of having a party or something. People are tired of parties.
Right,
you know?
right,
Yeah.
right. Thank you. So people can help us in many different ways. First of all, if you want to volunteer, don't worry if you don't have the experience in helping immigrants and refugees. We will help you. Whatever your gift in life is, we can find a use for it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is if you have goods that you are ready to throw away, gently used goods or clothes, give us a call. We might have a match for people that might want that. Third of all, if you know of vendors and businesses in the area that can provide a discount to organizations like ours, we would rather take our business to those organizations, and we get a discount and they get our business. You know, that's one thing. Of course, donations of any amount, monetary amount, are welcome. Even $1 is not too little. Whoever can afford whatever they can. Of course, we have opportunities for people to do some capital investments. We are looking to expand our clinic in Cleveland once the storm is gone, and that's going to require some capital investment. There are naming rights. If people want to put their names on buildings, we're happy to talk to them. But there is a large untapped population in greater Cleveland that we would like to serve, especially the Asian population. And so we want to create assisted living facilities for seniors, so that it's not just a visit and then they go back home.
Right.
It's actually giving them a place to live,
Right.
and then having somebody that's culturally and linguistically relevant that can help them out. So we would like to build or buy buildings that we can convert into assisted living for our seniors. And then lastly, we want anybody, if you can't do any of those, if people can be ambassadors for immigrants and refugees. This nation was built by immigrants and refugees. We wouldn't be where we're at if it wasn't for the immigrants and refugees. And so the narrative about immigrants and refugees that is circulating is not right. It doesn't do anybody any good, not the current immigrants and not the ones that came 200 years ago. So we need to embrace that. And so there are all kinds of opportunities like that available for people to help.
Thank you. Maybe one last question. How do you overcome the separation? Like, for example, I'm a foreign born. I came when I was 19. So I sort of know who I am. I know if people don't like you, it's not discrimination. It's just they don't like me. But then you also have American born, like my generation, the
Yes.
American born ones, they're very, like everything for them is discrimination. And then we have children that's born here. My own children, for example, they don't like it if you ask them where you're from. I love it. First thing I ask is, and my kids says, "Oh, Mom, you're so racist." I'm like, "What?" So when they say I'm from Cleveland, I'm really sorry I asked. So how and worse is, I think as Chinese, and I am one, or as Asians, we have a term called 知數門前説, and Mei Chen knows that because we discussed that. Yeah, that means that we don't contribute to the public good, but we take care of our own. We come to work, we'll never get on Medicaid, Medicare, welfare, but I won't contribute to politics, I won't contribute to National Interest Waiver, visa, but I won't contribute to not-for-profits because I will take care of my own. So how do you overcome all these cultural, and also the new people who came? I mean, a lot of times they should say, I'm a single mother, I don't have it, you have to help me. I'm like, what? Nobody owes you anything. You made a decision to come to America. You have to take care of stuff. You couldn't just depend on America to take care of you, to go on welfare. That's my thing.
Right.
I don't believe in welfare. So how do you overcome all these perceptions or misunderstandings or understandings?
It's a great question, and so we are seeing it. We have multi-generational immigrants. You got the immigrants, and you got generation 1, you got generation 2.
Correct.
And they're all different from one another. I talked a little bit earlier about our after-school programming, where the kids are assimilating into American society. They're becoming Americanized, but the parents are not. And all of a sudden, there's this gap in communication. And when there's an event and the parents are really happy to order Chinese food, the kids want pizza. right? We've seen that all over the place. And so that is just a microcosm of a larger
And
issue.
worse is they are embarrassed by their parents.
Yes, yes.
You know, I mean, I experienced it. My kids say, "Mom, don't say too much. You know, don't say too
Yeah.
much. People think you're racist. You're this." I'm like,
Right,
"Hello,
right. Yeah.
I'm a good lawyer. You know, I'm a famous lawyer." So these are things, and I don't know as an organization how do you. And I always tell them you have to give in
Yeah.
order to take. They say, "Oh yeah, we'll give, we'll give," but then it's like family comes first. I'm like, huh? So it's a different. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
Yeah,
you
no,
off.
no,
Yeah.
no. I appreciate that. And so what this has manifested itself into is severe mental health and behavioral health challenges in our population. Let me explain. So we just flew in a couple of Asian American therapists from Oakland, California,
Thank you.
and they were here about a month ago, and they spoke in front of all of our staff. And then we brought them here to Cleveland. We had a community forum where one of your employees actually came to that forum. And it's basically about our culture. The Asian culture does not encourage us to speak about our problems. We all want to hide and have this facade of being perfect, to the outside world. Or, the generation, the immigrant level, they want the kids to have perfect grades with everything, and the teacher's always right and the kid's always wrong. And unfortunately, that has manifested into some undesirable outcomes. In Akron, we had a young lad, 11 years old, a Nepali lad, who was being bullied at school. And he, I think, shared that with his parents. But in typical fashion, Asian parents will say, no, the teacher's right, you have to listen to the teacher, and you are wrong. In this case, that was not it was not true, and the kid felt like no one was listening to him. He had nobody at school, he didn't have friends, parents are not listening to him, he had nobody in his corner. So he did the unthinkable. He checked out. He committed suicide. And we cannot have that, So that is an example of what happens when we carry our problems, our mental health, behavioral health issues, and not share them, not get any help. So we brought in a gentleman by the name of Gary Kwan and his colleague James Chen. They specialize in providing therapy and help for AAPI people because they understand the culture. They know what people are going through. And they actually wrote a book called Asian American Chronicles, The Tale of Mental Health Illnesses and Solutions. And so the first thing you've got to do is admit that there's a problem, And so number two, you got to find someone that's culturally relevant. What we heard over here about a month ago from our staff and people in the community is we don't have enough therapists that are API that understand.
I don't even think there's one. I think there was one, but then I
Yeah.
think she retired. It's a Chinese
Got hired
woman.
away, yeah. And so I think we've got to address the mental health, behavioral health problem. We are actually having Mr. Gary Kwan come back, and he's going to be in Columbus at a conference, a health conference that we're organizing with our partners in Columbus, the Ohio Asian American Health Coalition, and so they're hosting. So the answer to all of that is how do we get our culture and our people, our community to think beyond just themselves. The Asian diaspora consists of over 150 ethnicities. 150 ethnicities, and so how do you bring them all together? Even with China, you got people from this region, that region, they don't speak the same language, they've got regional differences.
We're all
India.
jealous of each other.
Right.
We're all jealous, we all
Right.
gossip, we all say,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I think what we can do is learn from the Latino culture. It doesn't matter where you're from, they speak the same language, Spanish, okay, maybe a different accent here or there. And they have a way of being united. We've got to figure that out to ourselves. Whether we say Mandarin is going to be our language for Asia or whatever it is, maybe it's English, I don't know. But we've got to unite behind that. Because one of the biggest assets the Asian population has is we are smart, most of us, and I'm not very smart. If I was very smart, I'd be in for-profit, so I'm in a non-profit.
Actually, I'm not too smart, but I have some friends who are so smart. I say, it's amazing.
Yeah. So we need people to step up and start, uniting the people. And there are individuals. There is, a gentleman in Texas. He's a state representative in the Texas legislature. His name is Representative Gene Wu. He's Chinese American. He's first generation, I believe. And he is saying it like it is in terms of the current times that we're in and the fact that in 1865 we had Chinese laborers building the railroad system in America. We had the massacre of Chinese and Japanese, workers that happened, and so people want to forget about that and forget that there were contributions made by other people. Look, I appreciate everything that America has provided for all of us, and it's taken different people from different backgrounds. But let's not forget, if you're not from the mainstream culture and you're from another culture, doesn't mean that you're any less worthy. Mm-hmm. We have to recognize that, and so I think the first thing that has to happen to answer your question is the Asian community has to unite and call themselves one, and we're trying to do that. And then since you now have an extra few $100s in your purse, your wallet, don't just keep it all for yourself. Mm-hmm. Give some back to mm-hmm. people that are less fortunate. Mm-hmm. You want a comfortable home? Okay, go get $1 million home. If that's what you want. But then if you go get a $2 million home and a $3 million, is it that much better? Mm-hmm. Or would it not be better to invest the money into the community mm-hmm. and improve the quality of life for others? And frankly, it's not just the immigrant population. When I take the train from Shaker Heights and I go into the downtown Cleveland, and you see the public housing, mm-hmm. and you mm-hmm. see all the people there, my heart goes out to all those people, because they are caught up in an endless cycle of futility. They're never going to be able to get out of that. What are we doing about them? Mm-hmm. And these are mostly African American mm-hmm. people. We need to think about them too. Mm-hmm. So, and then there are some Appalachian people, south of Akron, that I've seen that need help. Mm-hmm. So there are those who are well off, and then those who are not well off. Mm-hmm. And the people that are well off, it's all kinds. It's white people, black people, mm-hmm. Asians, and then there are people who are not well off. There's all kinds again. Mm-hmm. But the people that are well off have forgotten about the people that need help. And we are at a desperate point in this country where even a hardworking person like myself, I am one medical calamity away mm-hmm. from getting my savings wiped out. It shouldn't be like that.
Right.
But yet there are others who want to have bigger tax breaks, and so they don't have to pay as much taxes. I wonder where the kindness and compassion is. Mm-hmm. Where did it get lost? I recently wrote a song about 2 weeks ago about kindness and compassion. I'm not a musician, but AI, mm-hmm. with AI you can be anybody, right? So I'm now a AI musician, if you will. And I will share it with you. I will send it to mm-hmm. you. And it talks about kindness and compassion and what happened, where is it? So all of that said, this is a short period in time. We shouldn't get too, off course with mm-hmm. what's been going on over the last 6 months. This country's been around for 250 years. Mm-hmm. It's the land of immigrants. It will always remain a land of immigrants. Mm-hmm. And so we just have to adjust, adapt, and move on. And mm-hmm. my organization, Asia, has been around for 30 years. Our plan is to be around for another 30 years. And so we're going to do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. And, President's talked about bringing in Afrikaners from South Africa, immigrants. We will serve the Afrikaners. Mm-hmm. We're okay with that. We're not going to go against the grain, and we appreciate the federal government. They are the ones that mm-hmm. fund us, and we are the ones that elected all these officials. So we are very appreciative. We want to be compliant, but at the same time, we don't want to sell our souls in the process. Mm-hmm. We've got to speak up for the people that don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about the Afghan women who are being trafficked, for domestic violence, or the Chinese women and the Korean women who are at the massage parlors, who it's right. Labor trafficking, mm-hmm. who are caught up in another endless cycle of futility. Who's going to help them? Mm-hmm. Who's going to speak up for them?
I'm surprised the Korean woman, because before the Chinese woman, men and women got into this trafficking stuff, it's always the Korean women and men. I'm surprised the history, because I used to do a lot of these yes. pole dancing, sex trafficking and stuff
yes,
like that.
Yes.
But then now it's more the Chinese now. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I've not shared a little personal detail about myself where I was in that kind of a situation. I told you I grew up in a very impoverished family. We didn't have any money. Mm-hmm. And the white kids didn't want to play with me. The black kids didn't want to play with me, and I didn't have any friends. And here I am trying to, I go work at Kmart. Remember Kmart? The young people today don't know what Kmart is because there's no more Kmart. I used to push carts in the snow, and whatever money I got, I gave it to my dad. But I couldn't get anything for myself. So I was befriended by a gentleman. I say gentleman loosely, 20 years older than me. And I thought he was great. I thought he was wonderful. But there came a point in time where he took advantage of me. So I was violated sexually and all that, and so that was a painful experience. But he knew what I needed, which was money. So he would just shush me up with that, And after that, I came this close to getting trafficked by him. He wanted me to start taking drugs, and I've never done drugs in my life, thank goodness, I've never. But had I started doing that, I would have become addicted, and then, I would have become his property. And so I'm so thankful that I was able to get out of that. But that created another bad habit, which is, you know what? I can make money by giving some of the rich men what they want, and letting them, have at it with my body. And so I was lucky to get out of that because there were some very kind, compassionate people who kind of got me out of that. And so now, I'm on out of all that. But I think that is what gives me even greater empathy and passion.
So brave
and
to talk about this. Most people, especially men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just talked about it for the first time about a month ago. So that's why I'm sharing it here. I did it at a public setting, and then when we had the 2 therapists who came for our all-staff meeting in front of my 100 staff, I put up a slide on the screen, and I said, "What do you see?" And it was the picture of a little girl. I said, "What do you see?" "Oh, it's a beautiful little girl." I said, "Okay. What else do you see?" I said, "That is me." And they said, "What?" My mother, as I told you, had a very oppressed life. And my mother and father had 2 kids, and they were both boys. And she wanted a girl, desperately wanted a girl. So there was a big gap between my 2 brothers and myself. In fact, there's a huge gap. I was born. And because she wanted a girl, she raised me as a girl for the first 5 years of my life. And then one day I had to go to school, and then boom, I went from being a girl to a boy. I know it's.
What was she thinking? She was not
She
thinking.
had, so this comes back to mental health and behavioral health issues that are unresolved, and they manifest themselves like this. And so she created this issue for me, that I continue to carry with me even today, but I manage it, and there was a time where I hated that little girl. I wanted to kill that little girl. I hated my mother. But through counseling and all that, I came to the point where I embraced that little girl. That's part of my identity, and I embrace her. And I understand why my mother did what she did, because she's also the one. She was a very strong woman. She's also the one that made me the leader that I am. Without her, I would not be the leader I am. So I'm very thankful. I just feel so bad that she had a life that was not a very happy life. So that's why at our senior center, every time I see a senior smiling, I see my mother smiling. I wish she had those services.
Your parents somewhere, somehow taught you right. Yeah. Every time on edge, you came back. You came back and became the leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed. I'm blessed by the Almighty, and I cannot thank God enough. I'm a man of faith. I'm not perfect. I got a lot of flaws, but I try to do the best I can. And for my son, I'm trying to do the best I can for him.
You are doing, and I don't know if you read that book. There are quite a few books that came out saying that leading by being a servant. You are reflecting. I don't know if you know you're doing it, but I think you are.
Servant leader, exactly.
Yeah.
I think in my LinkedIn, I talk about being a servant leader, and when you look at a table organization, you've got the CEO at the top, and then I turn it upside down, and I'm at the bottom, and I'm lifting everybody up. That's my leadership style, and so I treat everybody like I would want to be treated. Even the lowest of the low people, they're important.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know, they might be the most important person in the organization at
Yeah.
that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm so proud of you.
well, thank you, Margaret. Thank you
Yeah.
for this opportunity to meet with you. I'm honored to meet with you. And
Now
I'm
you're so
hoping
good
that,
I forgot what else I have to say. You're really good. Thank you.
I just want others to learn from my issues and problems that I went through.
Mhm.
That if I can make it through all those things I just mentioned that most people would never talk about, then I want them to have the courage to come out,
Mhm.
speak about it, get the help, and then get back on the road
Mhm.
to prosperity, whatever it is,
Mhm.
whatever their calling in life is.
Mhm.
So,
Again, thank you so much for listening to us. If there's any help you could give to Asia Inc., that would be very, very appreciated and very nice. If you need anything, call our company, call our law firm, or if not, call Mr. Harry at his organization. I'm sure with all of us together, that organization to grow and will double the budget in the next 5 years.
oh
And
wow,
thank you.
thank you.
That's right.